Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Over Tea, Listen and Speak. I'm your host, Anna, and I am so happy you're joining us today for a cup of tea and some good conversation.
And I'm Dan. Although, to be honest, Anna, I'm barely awake. I'm leaning on this tea for dear life today.
Oh no, Dan, you look a bit, frazzled. Did you have a rough morning?
A total disaster, Anna. It was like a comedy movie, but not a funny one for me. I stayed up way too late last night scrolling through social media, looking at memes and videos of goats wearing sweaters. Then, when my alarm went off at 6 a.m., I reached out like a zombie and hit the snooze button about 5 times.
We've all been there. But wait, let's pause for a second for our listeners. Dan said he was frazzled. That means feeling stressed, tired, or exhausted. And he mentioned he hit the snooze button. That's the button on your alarm clock that stops the sound for a few minutes so you can sleep a little longer.
Exactly, but that 5 minutes turned into 30. Suddenly, I was rushing, I couldn't find my car keys, I skipped breakfast, and I felt like I was starting my day on the wrong foot.
On the wrong foot. That's a great multi-word phrase. To start on the wrong foot means to begin a day or a task in a bad, disorganized, or unsuccessful way. You can use it like this. I forgot my umbrella and got wet, so my trip started on the wrong foot.
Well, my whole morning was on the wrong foot. I felt like the day was owning me instead of me owning the day.
That's actually a very powerful point, Dan. Many successful people believe that the way you begin is the way you become. There's a famous idea that the morning is a mirror. It reflects your discipline, your direction, and your desires.
A mirror? That's deep. So my mirror this morning showed a guy who was controlled by goats and sweaters on the internet?
Maybe. But really, your morning is the foundation of your day. Think of it like the first domino in a line. If the first one falls smoothly, the rest follow. But if you start in chaos, like you did today, you spend the whole day playing catch-up.
I definitely felt that. I was reacting to everything. The phone buzzed and I reacted. The clock rang and I reacted.
Most people rise in reaction. They wake up to demands and alarms, but the winners, as Napoleon Hill calls them, rise with intention. They treat the morning like a launch pad for their destiny.
I like that, a launch pad. So instead of being a thermometer that just reacts to the temperature of the room, I should be a thermostat that sets the temperature.
Exactly. A thermostat sets a goal or a standard in advance. So let's talk about the very first habit, the wake-up call. You mentioned your battle with the snooze button. In the sources, they say that hit the snooze and shrink mindset is what separates a powerful life from a passive one.
It's the first battle of the day, right? If you win that battle with the alarm clock, you feel powerful. If you lose, your brain hears, I'm not ready, I'm not strong.
Right. And a simple trick to stop hitting snooze is to put your alarm far away from your bed. If you have to physically get out of bed to turn it off, you've already won the first victory. Once you're standing up, your brain starts waking up.
That makes sense. It's hard to stay sleepy when you're walking across the room. But Anna, I have a confession. Even when I do get up, I often just stand there looking confused. What should I do first?
Well, before you even leave the bedroom, there's a success habit from the military that takes only 2 minutes. Make your bed.
Make my bed? Why? I'm just going to get back into it tonight.
True, but making your bed is a small win. It teaches you to do something with excellence. Plus, when you come home exhausted at the end of the day, you come back to a success, a bed that's already made.
Okay, I can do that. It's better than leaving it in a mess like a giant bird's nest. But what about the night problem? I heard someone say that waking up early is actually a night problem.
Yes, you can't expect to wake up at 5 a.m. feeling fresh if you were watching videos until 1 a.m. You need to hit the hay earlier.
Hit the hay. Is that another one for our listeners?
Yes, to hit the hay simply means to go to sleep. I have a big meeting tomorrow, so I'm going to hit the hay early.
I definitely need to hit the hay earlier. My body isn't a machine. It needs a rhythm. If I respect my sleep will reward me with energy.
Exactly. It's about being intentional. Don't leave your success to luck.
I'm starting to see the picture now. It's about small, consistent disciplines.
You got it, Dan. But there's so much more to cover, like what to do with your phone and how to feed your mind.
I'm ready. Let's keep going.
So, Dan, before we continue, tell me, what was the very first thing you did when you opened your eyes this morning? Be honest.
Oh man, you knew I was going to ask that. I did exactly what I shouldn't do. I reached for my phone before I even sat up. I think I was scrolling through emails and news before my brain even realized I was a human being.
You are definitely not alone there, Dan. In fact, some studies show that about 25% of people reach for their phone within the first minute of waking up. But here's the thing. When you check your phone first thing in the morning, it's like inviting 100 people into your bedroom, the bedroom of your mind.
Wow, 100 people? That sounds very crowded and very loud for 6 a.m.
Exactly. Your mind gets overwhelmed with everything you should have done, everything you need to do, and a million notifications. It's what experts call the 4 N's of distraction: news, notifications, negativity, and noise. If you start your day with those, you're starting at a -4, and you have to drag yourself up for the rest of the day.
That makes so much sense. I felt like I was already behind before I even got out of bed. I guess I'm in the same boat as most people.
In the same boat. Let's explain that one. To be in the same boat means to be in the same difficult or unpleasant situation as someone else. For example, I don't have enough money for the concert, and my brother doesn't either, so we are in the same boat.
Well, I want to jump out of this boat. So if I put the phone away, what should I be doing to fuel up? Because usually I just stumble toward the coffee machine like a ghost.
Well, before the coffee, you should really start with water. Your body hasn't had any water for 6 to 8 hours while you were sleeping, so you're actually quite dehydrated. Dehydrated means your body doesn't have enough water.
So a glass of water is like hitting the refresh button on a computer?
Precisely. It wakes up your brain and helps your body start working properly. Plus, some people say your gut is your second brain. If you hydrate your gut and take care of it, your actual brain stays sharper.
Okay, water first, coffee second. I can do that. But what about that morning mirror you mentioned earlier? How do I stop my mind from drifting back to those goats in sweaters videos?
It's about feeding your mind. There's a great principle that your mind is like a garden. You can plant flowers or you can let weeds grow, but something is going to grow there. If you don't intentionally plant good thoughts, the weeds of stress and worry will take over.
My garden definitely has some tall weeds right now. So how do I plant the flowers?
You feed it with wisdom. Many successful people make it a habit to read something inspiring or educational for just 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be a whole book, just 10 pages a day.
10 pages? That doesn't sound too bad. Even I can manage 10 pages at the crack of dawn.
At the crack of dawn. That's another great phrase. At the crack of dawn means very early in the morning, just as the sun is coming up. You could say the farmers get up at the crack of dawn to start their work.
I'm usually more of a crack of noon kind of guy, but I'm trying. So if I read 10 pages every morning, that's what, thousands of pages a year?
Exactly. It's about 3,650 pages a year, which is like 15 books. Most people haven't read that much since high school. It anchors you when life gets hard and guides you when things are unclear.
I like that. It's like sharpening your tools before you go to work. I remember a story about a lumberjack who took an hour to sharpen his axe so he could cut more wood than the guy who worked all day without stopping.
That's a perfect example, Dan. If you don't sharpen your axe, meaning your mind, you're just working harder, not smarter. And for our English learners, you can even use this time to read in English. It trains your brain to think in the language rather than just translating in your head.
That sounds, a bit intimidating. What if I make mistakes or don't understand every word?
You have to stop turning a blind eye to your potential just because you're afraid of mistakes.
Wait, turning a blind eye?
Yes, to turn a blind eye means to pretend not to notice something or to ignore it. For example, the teacher turned a blind eye to the student whispering because it was only for a second. In this case, don't ignore your ability to learn just because it feels hard at first. Don't worry about being perfect, just focus on the process.
Okay, so no phone, drink water, and read 10 pages of something good. I'm starting to feel more powerful already. But Anna, I still feel a bit jumpy, like I have all this energy but nowhere to put it.
That's because we haven't talked about the warrior inside you yet.
The warrior? I don't feel like a warrior. I feel like a guy in pajamas.
Well, the sources say your physiology, how you move your body, actually writes your psychology, how you feel. We need to get you moving to shift your state from passive to powerful.
I'm ready. Let's talk about getting active.
So Dan, we left off talking about the warrior inside you. It sounds a bit intense, doesn't it?
It does. I'm sitting here in my favorite fuzzy socks thinking, am I really a warrior? I don't feel very battle ready yet.
Well, the idea is that your body is a trigger for your mind. If you stand tall and breathe deeply, your psychology follows. The sources tell us that motion creates emotion. If you want to feel different, you have to move different.
So if I'm feeling lazy or unmotivated, I shouldn't just sit there and wait for it to pass?
Exactly. Winners don't lounge in limitation. They rise and move to set a strong tone for the day. It's not about doing a massive 2-hour workout at 5 a.m. It could be 10 minutes of stretching, a few push-ups, or even just a quick walk around the block. The goal is to get your blood flowing and your brain sharpened. When you do that, you start your day firing on all cylinders.
Firing on all cylinders? That sounds like a car engine.
It is. To fire on all cylinders means to be functioning or working at peak performance or with maximum effort. For example, after a good night's sleep and a coffee, the team was firing on all cylinders.
I like that. I want to be a high-performance machine, not a rusty bicycle. But what about the mental side? I feel like my brain is always noisy in the morning.
That's where the habit of stillness comes in. Before the meetings, the emails, and the errands start, you need to claim 10 minutes of silence. It's a necessity, not a luxury.
10 minutes of just sitting there? That sounds harder than the push-ups.
It can be, but silence is power. It's a meeting with yourself. When you sit in stillness, whether you meditate, pray, or just breathe, you center yourself in peace. It's like a rebellion against the world that is addicted to rushing.
I guess it's like clearing the muddy water in your head?
Precisely. If you keep stirring the water, it stays cloudy. If you let it settle, it becomes clear. The Buddha taught that we must rule our mind or it will rule us. In a nutshell, silence gives you back the control that the world tries to take away.
In a nutshell? That's a funny one. Does it have to do with actual nuts?
Not quite. In a nutshell means to state something very briefly and directly using few words. For example, the book is very long, but in a nutshell, it's about a boy and his dog.
Got it. So, in a nutshell, move to get energy and stay still to get clarity.
You're a natural at this. Now there's another mental fuel we have to talk about: gratitude.
Oh, I've heard of this. Is that the soft and fluffy stuff?
Some people think so, but the sources say it's actually a strategic weapon for strong minds. It shifts you from a scarcity mindset, thinking about what you lack, to an abundance mindset, focusing on what you have.
I suppose it's hard to be grumpy when you're thinking about how lucky you are to have a roof over your head or a warm cup of tea.
Exactly. In fact, studies show that you actually cannot have an anxious thought and a grateful thought at the same time. They can't rent space in your mind together.
That's amazing. So gratitude is like an anxiety blocker.
Yes, and the trick is to be specific. Don't just say I'm grateful for life. Say I'm grateful for the way the sun is hitting the trees right now. When you start from a place of fullness, the world can't make you feel small. For me, finding 3 things to be grateful for every morning is a piece of cake.
A piece of cake, my favorite kind of idiom.
I knew you'd like that one. A piece of cake means something is very easy to do. I've been practicing my English every day, so the test was a piece of cake.
Well, making a list might be a piece of cake, but sticking to it all day is the hard part.
That's why you need to set your target. Most people wake up and try to do everything, which leads to movement without direction. That's just chaos. Instead, you should identify your one win.
Just one? But I have 50 things on my to-do list.
But are those 50 things actually moving you toward your mission? Power comes from precision. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I must accomplish today that will move me forward? When you win that one big battle early, the rest of the day begins to bow to your courage.
So I should write this one win down?
Yes, write it down or lose it forever. Writing takes the invisible and makes it visible. It sends a signal to your subconscious that your thoughts matter.
Okay, so I'm moving, I'm sitting in silence, I'm being grateful, and I'm picking my one win. I feel like a totally different person than the guy who was scrolling through goat videos this morning.
That's the power of intentionality, Dan. But there's one last piece of the puzzle: how to make these habits stick for the long term so we don't give up by February.
I definitely need to hear that.
All right, Dan. We've covered the warrior movement, the power of silence, and feeding the mind. But let's be real for a second. How do we make sure this isn't just a one-day only thing? How do we stop ourselves from giving up by next Tuesday?
Oh, that is the million-dollar question, Anna. Usually, my warrior is very brave on Monday, but by Tuesday, he's back on the couch with a bag of cookies. It's so easy to let things slide.
I totally get it. But here's the thing. The sources tell us that success isn't about one giant leap. It's about those small, consistent steps. You don't need to change your whole life in 24 hours. You just need to change your days, because your days eventually build your destiny.
So I don't have to be a superhero right away.
Not at all. In fact, a huge part of being unstoppable is simply keeping promises to yourself. Many people make big New Year's promises, but by February, the gym is empty and the dumbbells are lonely. If you say you'll do 20 push-ups, but you only manage 5, do the 5. The goal isn't just the exercise. It's to prove to your brain that you are a person who starts and stays.
That's a good point. I think I've been too good at lying to my own reflection in the mirror. I tell myself I'll go to the gym, and then I just don't.
My brain probably thinks, yeah, right, Dan, I've heard this story before.
Exactly. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you lose a little bit of self-trust. But every small promise you keep is like recharging your confidence battery. And speaking of batteries, we really need to talk about the night problem again.
Oh, right, because I was definitely burning the midnight oil last night watching those goats.
Burning the midnight oil. That's a classic phrase for our listeners. To burn the midnight oil means to stay up very late at night, usually working or studying. For example, I had to burn the midnight oil to finish my English project. But Dan, if you burn the midnight oil too often, your morning is doomed before it even starts.
So a great morning actually starts the night before.
Precisely. The sources suggest that you should never start your day until it is finished on paper the night before. Take 10 minutes before bed to write down your plan. When you plan tonight, your brain sleeps with direction instead of confusion. You wake up ready, not rushed.
It's like setting the GPS before you start the car. I like that. So Anna, before we wrap this up, can we do a quick recap of the success blueprint we've talked about today?
I would love to. Let's give our listeners a clear list to take away. 1. Wake up early and on time. Win the first battle with the alarm clock. 2. Drink water. Hydrate your second brain and refresh your system. 3. Move your body. Even 10 minutes of movement shifts you from passive to powerful. 4. Practice silence. Spend 5 to 10 minutes in stillness or deep breathing to calm the noise. 5. Feed your mind. Read 10 pages of something inspiring to sharpen your axe. 6. Identify your one win. Pick the most important task and attack it first. 7. Practice gratitude. Name 3 specific things you're thankful for to block anxiety. 8. Avoid the phone. Don't let the world's chaos into the bedroom of your mind for at least the first hour. 9. Make your bed. Start your day with a small success that you can come home to later. 10. Reflect and prepare. At the end of the day, review what went well and plan for tomorrow.
Wow, when you put it like that, it sounds like a real plan for a masterpiece day. I'm actually excited to try this. No more scrolling until 1 a.m. for me.
I believe in you, Dan. And remember, even if you just pick 2 or 3 of these habits to start with, you're already ahead of the curve. Just be consistent. Success is attracted by the person you become through these daily disciplines.
And for our listeners, we want to know, which one of these habits are you going to start tomorrow morning? Let us know in the comments.
Yes, please share your goals with us. And if you found this conversation helpful for your English and your life, don't forget to subscribe to English Over Tea. Listen and speak. Sharing this episode with a friend is also a great way to spread the warrior energy.
Definitely. Well, I think my tea is empty, and I'm actually feeling, awake now.
Haha, mission accomplished. Thank you all so much for listening. Take care of yourselves, stay consistent, and remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be better than yesterday.
Well said, Anna. Until next time.
Bye, everyone.